Jack Johnson, one I'm sure you know, like when he fought Jim Jeffries in, if I remember correctly, it was 1910. He was considered the biggest boxing fight that had ever happened. And not only because Jim Jeffries was the undefeated former champion who had retired, but because of the racial tension, people hated the idea of a black guy being the heavyweight champion. So they basically begged Jim Jeffries to come out of retirement to beat him up. That's where the term the great white hope came into being, is the whole idea we need a white guy who's the hope of good white people everywhere to defeat this horrible black guy. And Jack Johnson, I mean, to give you an idea, like when during the fight in 1910, the band, before Jack Johnson came onto the ring, the band started playing a song. The title of the song was All Coons Look Alike to Me.
Damn.
Straight up ultra racist song. And Jack Johnson would smile. He was so used to this. He knew what they were doing. They would always trying to piss him off, to get him angry, so he would lose his cool. And he pissed them off twice as much because he always smiled. Like he wasn't even that, like he wasn't hearing all that stuff. Like none of that stuff could touch him. And it drove them twice as insane, of course, because he was just acting super cool, like nothing bothered him. He demolished Jim Jeffries, and after that fight, there were riots in 50 cities across US in 25 states. Dozens of people died as a result of, because damn many people were angry at the idea of a black guy being the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, and to me, you know, the reason I also like boxing is that, and you had mentioned it on the Bill Richmond, that I do like the idea of trial by combat. I know it's kind of like I had not really heard of the term really talked about until like some Game of Thrones style stuff, and I remember just thinking like, yeah, that's okay. You know, I'm not saying like in our society that would play out perfectly, but it should definitely be an option if maybe not against the state, but if there's two people that really want to settle some things, let them throw some chingazos. But to me, I've always kind of thought that the lineage of man-to-man combat goes so far back to whatever, Roman. I don't know what. Well, actually, doesn't even have to be Roman. Everybody, everybody, and to go when I go to these fights, and it's like I can feel the history of the energy behind it. But I also kind of respect that these guys are really true sovereigns, that they really are. The phrase that I say is that boxing is the act of two sovereigns asking the state permission to kill each other without consequence. Mm-hmm. And to really just see that in action, it's like you're seeing. I always say that, like, I'm anti-war, but I'm pro, like, watching two people go to war.
Of course.
And so
it should be, right?
That's like that's the way it should be. So you're into martial arts. I know you practice it. I believe you're with somebody that is professional. So can you kind of talk about how your connection to the fight game, or that lineage, or why you like it, or the whole idea behind the martial arts and all that, or fighting, boxing, everything?
Yeah, I started training martial arts that was 31 years ago. So I've been in it for a huge chunk of my life in one way or another. And I've trained in all sorts of stuff, but the biggest ones I think that I spent a lot of time with, especially as of late, has been more combat sports. I've done a lot of traditional martial arts, but also a lot of combat sports. So of course, MMA, judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I definitely love boxing. I did boxing for quite a while. And then a bunch of other stuff. I enjoy everything, to be honest. Like you could have, I enjoy the old ladies doing Tai Chi in the park, and I enjoy MMA and everything in between. To me, is like I find something cool in pretty much every martial art there is. As you mentioned, my lady fights professionally. She fights for one championship in Asia. And that's an experience, because fighting is stressful enough, like when you do it, but when you see somebody you care about doing, it's even worse. The tension is insane. You just like last time I couldn't even watch. I was like, okay, tell me what happens, and then I'll watch it afterwards. I'm not watching it live. I
What,
was
what,
like,
what are you feeling inside, man? Like like how do you what are you feeling? Like, you know, we're like
you just start hyperventilating, like breathing, just like this, heartbeat just going hyper. It's just tension is at all time high. And that's speaking of non-attachment. I mean, that's a big one in fighting because you know how fighting is, of course, technique and athleticism are huge, but the mind is huge in combat.